It's The Perfect Union, the perfect podcast for the perfect country, brought to you by your perfect host, Hank Thompson, for you, the perfect listener. Hello, everybody. Perfect Union is the politics wing of Winners and Losers Enterprises and Apocalypse training courses. Don't forget to sign up for upcoming class, Twitch streaming. Learn how to manage the radiation shakes so you don't pee on yourself or loved ones while contaminating the local water supply. Sign-up sheet is down the hall past the janitor's closet. Don't slip on the blood. Guys, we can't handle another lawsuit, okay? Man, this apocalypse will not get here fast enough because we got so many lawsuits to deal with. That's one of the upsides of the apocalypse. Everybody is all the lawsuits that are going on. The court system will crumble eventually, and then we won't have to deal with it. Hi, I'm Hank. Hello, welcome to the show. This is me. I riffed the second half of that, and it was terrible. I'm thinking about abandoning that bit, or at least putting it on hiatus because it's a little too real. I'd like to do a whole animation thing about animated apocalypse classes. I think that would be funny, but it's been one of those big apocalypse weeks and months, years, decades, maybe century. This country for some people started out as the apocalypse. If you consider 100% of the human beings that were on the North American continent, if you considered them human beings, it wasn't a nice deal for everybody. Just a small group. Small group of super rich white guys. Okay, so, wow, I'm way more excited than I thought I would be. I was not dreading the recording, but just, everything is dread. You know, that working out thing where it's just, as soon as you're done, it's wonderful. And that's kind of how podcasting feels a little bit. Although now that I'm talking, I can feel the brain starting to, wake up on Instagram. I don't even look for these. Somehow the algorithms, they know what I want. It's attractive women, boating accidents, and dogs being fed things while they're sleeping, or and then they just start licking at the water or the food. Yeah. That's the mix on my. Wow, welcome. This is already off to a horrible start. We got some good stories. Going to keep this one to 45 minutes. Hard out at 45 minutes. Not true at all. I'm sure there's no fucking way. Hell no. But that's all right. We've got a bunch of little clips to get through and play, and we're going to have some good sound to get at you. Jim Cramer. I'm going to defend Nancy Pelosi. Are you ready for it? I'm going to defend Nancy Pelosi. Oh, the big news. RGB died. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. RBG died. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is dead. The good Lord was impatient. God needed a justice. Man, well, I don't have a ton to say about it. There's a million. I had to run. That was my reaction when the news hit Friday. Here it is Saturday morning. I'm recording on September 19th. And it was yesterday, and it had already been flowing through Twitter. And when these sort of major meteor impacts of stories hit, and this is a big one, suddenly Twitter just turns into exactly its namesake, where everybody just starts going tweet, 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 and it just turns into nuts. I think the first time horses ran through the jungle, all the birds were probably like, what the fuck? What is that? That's new. Everybody just got super excited. And of course, the people I follow and my feeds are generally filled with lefties and liberals and more or less on the left side of the quote unquote spectrum. And it was a lot of horrible, not horrible takes, but everybody was just crestfallen and saddened and dismayed and terrified. And I shared that feeling about all of it too. What a fucking nightmare. But it also strikes me, and Twitter is a filtering system anyway. It's you get delivered a kind of, customized. That word is too generous. A manipulated algorithmic robot is trying to get you addicted to it, and so that Mark Zuckerberg can have his accountant's spreadsheets go up for some reason. That's what we're just gonna let the fucking world go to hell because people who don't need any money for millions of years want more money. It's insane. All right. So yesterday Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh, I was saying, I'm sure on the right, there was just nothing but celebration for this, because this is a gift to the conservatives, to the right wing. They love their justices. That's one of the projects they have with the John Birch Society or the Federalist Society or one of those. I think it's the Federalist Society. That is deliberately producing a barracks, a sorority, you might say, of potential candidates to become judges. The term activist judges has not been thrown around much in recent years, but you heard that all the time during the Obama administration, because the right wing was terrified that, or not, it's not even the right way to put it. They were pretending that they cared that the judges should be impartial. And I care that they should be impartial too. But you're also kind of naive to assume that there's no ideology behind the way these people are, the mindsets that they have. You don't just, it's like to pretend that the human beings we give this much power to, we give them a magic robe, we give them a magic amulet. No, not amulet, mallet. By the way, I built my second mallet. It's fucking beautiful. I'm so excited to mal stuff with it. They give them a magic mallet. And they give them a guy with a gun who also has lots of other people with a gun. So that's the real power of the judge. And the judge gets to say, yes, pay the ticket, you piece of shit. Or no, go to jail for 40 years because I believe that selling weed should eliminate your existence and turn you into just a misery, a caged misery profit unit. Of course, like everything, it's pretty clear projection. The activism of the right-wing judges is their primary feature. That's what they want from judges. So, God, I wasn't even okay. So they're more than happy to force activist judges on all of us. The Supreme Court, Trump has already gotten 2 justices in. You know that you don't need to hear all these details. If you're listening to the show, you probably know this, but they denied Obama's appointment of Merrick Garland to replace Anthony, Tony, as his friends call him, Scalia, or Scal, as his enemies call. Okay, and he died in February of the election year, and of course, Republican line was, "Oh, we can't. It's an election year. The American people should have a say." Now that it's 47 or something days out of the election, less than 2 months, RBG dies, and they're going to rush through a candidate, and I think this is more likely, they're going to use it as an election thing leading up to the election, meaning it's a really powerful, what's the word? There's no word for putting your hand up a puppet's ass, is there? The talkie puppets, the ventriloquist, that's not the pronunciation. But one of the major problematic things, aside from the fact that they're going to be able to further cement conservative dominance over our society, we're going to be held hostage to the most extreme conservative Christian movement, these monsters that have run this country for so long, this ideology that is poisoning the world, that maintains power systems, that maintains tiny in-groups of power, that is aggressively accelerating us into a fascist nightmare, where a small in-group of wealthy people are ruling over the rest of us using confusion and chaos. I mean, it's the natural evolution of fascism. The locust form of the grasshopper, so to speak, of conservatism is fascism. And that's where we're going. Trump, I'm actually reading a book right now called How Fascism Works. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't. It kills people. Wait, no, that is working. That is how it works. It kills people. Anyway, okay. There's a lot. Fuck. It's so horrifying. So, what's going to happen? I don't know. I have no idea. Hopefully, there's enough pushback that hopefully the Democrats are able to mount a blocking of this. There's no way in hell Pelosi and Schumer and Obama are going to muster the kind of strength that they showed to get rid of Bernie in order to block this. Their corporate masters benefit from conservative judges. The rich people don't want change. So they're going to want to put in people who will prevent change and who will also have the side, the kind of, what's the word? Adventuring? No, a side hustle. The side hustle of social control. They're going to try to go after abortion. They're going to go after all this other stuff. So we'll see what happens. This has never occurred before. We don't know what's going to happen. But I'm saying it makes more sense to me as far as their tactics go. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they rushed a nominee through and then confirmed them within a day or two. I wouldn't put it past the Republicans to do this at 4 a.m, honestly. But it makes more sense for them to do it after the election. First of all, a lot of the senators who are up for, like Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins in Maine, I've been hearing about all these people all over the place. Lindsey Graham, they're facing difficult races, and they might not want to admit or face the blowback from casting a vote like this that will show illustrate their hypocrisy even more than it already does. Not that a lot of people give a shit about that. They certainly don't care about it. The Republican base definitely doesn't care about it. But it would, in addition to it being risky to do it before the election, leading up to the election, why would they settle before the election? Because this is going to take the oxygen out of the room, or it gives this is the ventriloquist butt control I was talking about, that Trump was facing mounting scandals, massive scandals. The post office thing hopefully was causing a little damage. Those little angels over at the Lincoln Project have been putting out a lot of stuff. Michael Cohen, this is sort of the centrism edition here. Michael Cohen's testimony, Trump's former lawyer, his book coming out, the Bob Woodward revelations, that he knew the pandemic was killing people and was very dangerous and was worse than the flu and still downplayed it, which should be considered evidence in a trial. There was another thing coming up soon too. Trying to think. Someone had just come out credibly accusing Donald Trump of sexual assault, and of course he did. Nobody believes he didn't, even his own fucking supporters. That's probably one of the things they like about him. Some of them. And and there's always the guns are out for him, right? This is true of every cycle, not just Trump, but there's always what they call the October surprise or whatever. But this wasn't going to be an October surprise. This was going to be like an October surprise party. That's not creative, but you get what I'm saying. There's going to be lots of it. Of course, none of it really matters. And if anything, the volume of these scandals and the horrors protects him. So the surprise part, or I should say, like, whatever may have come out, because there's going to be days, maybe not before this election, but there's going to be a trickle, a flash flood, various water metaphors of revelations about how fucking horrible these guys are. One that came out this week, I don't have video of this, but a staffer from Mike Pence's COVID response team. You have to question anybody's morality who thinks that Lincoln logs, linking a chain, is that even a phrase? Linking a chain with Mike Pence in any way is a decent thing to do. But based on the video, this woman speaking about just how Trump was prioritizing all of his politics. He was only worried about himself. And that's extremely risky to do that, to come out and say something about a former, party. It could be career ending. I think there's, hopefully the lady's able to land on her feet. But it took some bravery for her to do that. And that should be a gigantic scandal. But now that the Supreme Court nomination process is underway, it is squirrel. That is all the Trumps have to do is go, racist squirrel. They're just going to throw out all kinds of insanity, and the media is going to go right for it. And the stories that would otherwise get the oxygen are now going to be pushed away out of the way for Supreme Court coverage. And it's a fucking nightmare. It's such a nightmare. 2020 is so bad. It's so bad, man. So my reaction was to be dismayed and upset and kind of befuddled. Not really befuddled, I guess. I guess befuddled in terms of what to do, but watching everybody else's responses. And I find it funny. I mean, I think it's great that people find inspiration in political people. A judge we somehow separate from being a political actor, and in some way, and definitely they're not the same as a congressperson or a president or whatever, but I don't venerate these folks. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a iconic person in a country of set up to oppress the vast majority of the people, we have these milestones where we have the first black congressperson, the first black justice, the first female black, the first Asian American, the first Pacific Islander, the first indigenous person getting, so we have all these firsts, and those are worth celebrating. I'm not cynical about that at all. But the fact that we have a big list of firsts is proof of the white supremacist patriarchy fucking nightmare that this country is when it was started. The first white wealthy landowner to have power in this country was every single person in power when the country started. There's no first white guy. Lord of the Rings. No, what's the other rings? Flies. They should do a crossover, shouldn't they? Where all the hobbits end up on an island and they just start murdering each other. The Lord of the Flies thing. The first boy to pick up the conch. Well, they're all white boys. That's a stupid analysis. What if I was like on CNN saying that? I just get tackled by Don Lemon. So I just don't have the emotional bandwidth to be like, oh God, we have to mourn this loss and it's so bad. I'm grateful if that offers people some support in dealing with this. I don't question how anybody handles stress like this. I hope people deal with stress in healthy ways and stuff like I've been doing. I've just been eating burritos and Chinese food as fast as I fucking can. Losing it a little bit over here, everybody. Got to get back to the healthy foods pretty soon here, but I'm gonna roll it. I'm eating once a day though. Still, I think that's actually like in terms of overall calories, it keeps up. I'm not like packing on the weight, although I have definitely gained a little weight here. I am not ready for my fireman's quarterly magazine shoot. Okay. I have this comedy idea. And if I was like a rich comedy guy who got to pull off stunts, like these Tim Heideckers and Eric, there's another one. If I were one of these types, I would produce this is a comedy idea, a firefighter calendar for straight men. And it would be all the dads, like the guys that look like, you ever watch This Old House? It'd basically be those guys. It'd be those dudes, because there's those like mustache firemen. Those guys are like 60 years old. They got a little pot belly, but they're probably kind of strong because they haven't had not like young guy strong, but they're not like accountant weak. You ever shake the hands of an accountant? Man, you have to apologize. But I want to do a firefighter calendar for straight men. And they don't have their shirts off. It's not like it's a sexual thing. It's just because straight men love firefighters. Dudes. I think I just got the biggest laugh of my life, and it was just me laughing. Hold on a second. Okay. All right. Yeah, fix up my microphone there. So it's a horrible event. It's really unfortunate. And what a stupid system. Stay, microphone. What a stupid system we have where a decrepit old woman has to keep herself alive or else Sauron's going to win. Like, what the fuck is this? What kind of system is this? One person's death means humanity is doomed? I mean, I don't necessarily, that's obviously hyperbolic a little bit, but every single time conservatives gain just pushes the moment. There's never going to be one moment, but it just pushes the point where we reach sustainable living further down the road. And climate change isn't, I think it's, I don't know if it's exponential, exactly mathematical. It's obviously a gigantically, massively complicated system, but we don't have any more time. It's a time bomb. It's going to get bad. It's going to keep getting bad. And even if we did everything correct right now, which we're not going to do it. Biden's not going to do it. That's for damn sure. Trump's sure as hell not going to do it. Of course. It would still take about a decade or so before we felt effects or even were able to detect effects from doing things correctly. Like, the warming is baked in right now. So our best hope is to mitigate and attack this with massive spending and massive investment in new technologies. Some people are super cynical about using technology to solve this. The worry about that is that if you over rely on that, then you just incentivize continued consumption and continued waste the way we're doing things, and then just figuring that, well, somebody in the future will invent a way to solve it. And that's obviously irresponsible. But to pretend like that technology and there might not be a technological component to solving this is ridiculous. I don't know why people who make that argument make it seem like, don't even think about it. No, of course you should. Part of the solution, in addition to reforming, to completely destroying and rebuilding, I guess it's not going to happen like that though. It's like capitalism. I'm saying it's going to be more. If it were to happen, it would be more like stages of worker empowerment. And we would maybe in a few decades be something like Europe is now, like Germany, where they have worker representation on the board. I'm not even near my stories yet. We're already 20 minutes in. I'm terrible at this. 45 minutes. So there's no ending and rebuilding. It's not an engine that we can take apart and put back together. By the way, you put back the exact same engine. But what the hell is I talking about? It's just I lost it. Sometimes I go back and re-listen and try to pick up my thread, but I can't do that right now. I can't do it. So but this is all just bad. It's really shitty. It's horrible. We'll see what happens. If Trump is able to get, my screen just went dark. There we go. If Trump is able to get, why is the other one dark now? If Trump is able to get 3 Supreme Court justices, Gorsuch is not a fucking legitimate candidate or justice. He shouldn't be on the Supreme Court. Brett Kavanaugh is a rapist, allegedly, and I believe his accuser, and I believe that he's this buffoonish. He's just been a conservative operative for most of his career. He's talk about activist judges. Kavanaugh is a scumbag, privileged piece of shit. Got kind of a just the sort of predatory vampire that exists within this system and has been nothing but rewarded for it. And good. I hope his name is forever tarnished, as he complained. It should be, asshole. And now there's going to be another legitimate potential thing here. So we'll see. I mean, I have no idea. I'm stupid. I don't know. I mean, the only hope, and I honestly don't know how the mechanisms of this work, and I assume it's probably naive to even say it, because I imagine it's a lot more difficult than even I could imagine, is like packing the courts, raising the number of Supreme Court justices to a point where the majority reflects the people of the country. It's a progressive country. When people are polled, they always adopt and agree with progressive statements. Every survey, majorities of people, 60 plus, 70 plus % of people agree with progressive statements when they do polling. They're just completely confused, and it's not like they have a sense of a centered core and pride themselves on being persuadable and pride themselves on having an ideological consistency. I try to do that with my life. I don't think I'm perfect about it, but I try. I would be embarrassed if I felt like I had such stubbornness that I wouldn't be open to new information. And that's become the standard operating thing. Joe Rogan has this big show on Spotify. So now that he's a corporate guy, he's probably held to a little bit more account. There might be some kind of corrective mechanism. And he was clipped out this week on Twitter. This is also not something I was planning on talking about, but he was talking about claiming the bullshit lie that lefties were starting fires in Oregon and that the media is not reporting that. And people freaked out because that's the kind of thing that gets people killed. Like, he didn't express skepticism. He didn't say, I heard. Even that would be irresponsible. He just said that that's what's happening and that the media is not reporting it. How the fuck does he know? And to his credit, he posted an apology on Twitter. Apparently it got to him. I know he doesn't listen to his tweets, or he doesn't read Twitter. I've heard him say that. I haven't listened to it. I pick his shows based on guests, and I have listened to a lot of his shows over the years, but not a ton lately. But if it's an interesting guest or something, and you see the clips, so it's man. The reason that came to my mind is that I think that the confidence part of it, where people just say what they think is true, and they don't say it with any skepticism, they don't leave open any room for it being wrong. And it just completely, people have been trained more and more to believe their opinions are facts. And I think that's a consequence of greater insecurity, of a world with a less trustworthy media. Let me rephrase that. Where there's less trust in information sources, where there's, I think that's the kind of thing that is going on here. I talk about this in the next episode. I have a guest on for the next one. And but I at one point I start rambling about narratives and stories, and I think what we need is what's missing, and what's causing so much of the anguish in this country, partially obviously, is that we don't have a story. The story of America, we don't have a unifying story that has a positive vision for the future. Joe Biden telling his super rich donors that nothing will fundamentally change. He recently said that he's got his own deal instead of the Green New Deal. He has pulled back on fracking, or on any kind of fracking ban, to make sure that we're still pumping all this, toxic shit into the air. And it's what's missing is a narrative. The American story was propagandized into everybody's head that we're this greatest country, that we have these founding fathers who are so wonderful. They did everything great. Oh, they had slaves. That was back then. That's just how it was back then. No, that's how it was for a small sliver of people, the people who wrote the history, the people who wrote the rules. How it was that people were held hostages and they were human trafficked, tortured, raped, murdered. It's a terrorist apartheid state for millions of people in this country. There's a genocide that happened to the indigenous people. It's not just how it was. And that the story of America, and in my eyes, it's crumbled. Not that I need it to be filled. I want it to be, I want the story. Well, I mean, I do, but it's not like I have this absence. Like, I think that's what people get so threatened about in the Pledge of Allegiance. I have not even gotten to my fucking story. Okay. As I've said, the Pledge of Allegiance was a brainwashing tactic that makes it so that people are less likely to question their government. And some people are going to develop these positive feelings for the American story and the American propaganda because it works. It's an effective way to maintain control over population. And another way you cement the narrative is with statues and monuments. And they've been busy building those. They got busy way early. Like, how could you possibly build yourself a trophy for yourself and then brag about the good job you did? Because you want to lie. That's why you do that. Anyway. All right. My God, what the hell? So RBG's dead. It sucks. And hopefully the fork in the road that we're taking, we've taken a lot of forks in the road. It's a forky road, is not heading towards certain doom. And I don't think we're there yet, but we're absolutely verging hard off the cliff. I mean, you could easily make a case that we're already well off the cliff, but there is still time to pull this to a point where you can salvage a future where we can build the conditions for dignity to flourish. It's fucking terrible. The Democratic leadership are such a bunch of cowards, man. They're so weak. Oh, so final, just last thing. My reaction to it, though, I didn't get like physically ill, but I was like, I have to go. I can't be on Twitter now. I need to get away. I need to not. I was actually working on producing stuff for this right now that we're going to see some stuff in a little bit. And man, I just needed to just back off. And I just decided, you know what, Hank, it's time to read a book and do some exercise. And I've done neither of those yet. But I'm no Twitter. So I've actually caught myself about to turn on Twitter. And I go, no, don't do it. I've been up working on a woodworking video. I'm getting close to finishing part 2. I'm really excited. It's actually coming together. It's so fun. I just want to fucking play with trees. I want to murder trees and turn them into boxes to impress women and rivals. But man, it's so now, okay, we're podcasting. One thing I'm looking forward to doing soon, I'm going to maybe even today, Saturday, but we'll see, is I kind of want to start doing Twitch streaming. I think I I think I want to just be on camera and want to show people me all day reading Twitter. No. But I want to do Rocket League. I know it's weird. I play a lot of Rocket League. It's like my go-to video game. I can take it in little bites. And I like to get into like a big Dark Souls or a big Red Dead Redemption 2. Those are fucking great. I've certainly over my life, I grew up in the 80s, so I've been a video game player for all of it. And but Rocket League, I'm getting kind of good at it. I'm not good enough to like be braggy good. Here I am bragging about, but I'm good enough to not be like embarrassing. I think good players will see me and be like, yeah. Okay, you're not terrible. Okay, but I still fuck up a lot and I make a lot of mistakes and stuff. But I think it'd be there's like a lefty community on Twitch too. There's a show called The Serfs. There's the Young Turks' very own. Former Young Turks' very own Hassan Abi. I've actually edited a few of his videos there back when I was working at TYT. He's got a huge audience on Twitch, and my move is going to be to do Rocket League. And instead of putting myself on camera, I'm going to put my shrimp aquarium. How's that sound? I have a 2.5 gallon jar with little red cherry shrimp, and they're adorable, and they walk around. Do they walk or do they crawl? Boy, what if one of them stood up on its back legs, like dusted its chest off, started spouting out bullshit about Lutheranism or some crap? And instead of me, I'm going to do that, and I will talk. Although I don't want to be talky the whole time, like I'm doing right now. I probably will not be able to resist talking, but just kind of be. You'll just hear me going like, "Oh, I messed up. That sucked." But I will definitely talk because if I have a microphone in front of me that's active, there's no way I can't not say something. So I'm terrible at comedy shows because I like to scream out in the audience. Shut up! Hey, you're watching Suck Professor. Yeah, so that's something I'm just going to play around with. I don't expect there to be any viewers. the way I hardly understand Twitch whatsoever. It's honestly it's extremely befuddling, and it's a generation or two before me or after me or whatever. So I'm way too old for it. Not way too old, but it's got way too much going on screen. When you click on a Twitch channel, it's just like all it is just a bunch of nonsense and crap. And apparently there's a whole ecosystem of paying for points and spending them on emojis or some shit. I don't know, but you can make money doing it. That's not my intention. I'll take some money off of it eventually, of course, no doubt, but I'm not thinking this is my future. Hey Dad, I finally figured out what I'm gonna do. But I think it'll be fun. I just think it'll be fun once it's set up, and you just got to turn it on, hit the thing, set the stream going, and then just play some Rocket League, maybe mention a couple things about how bullshit capitalism is or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. The other thing I think would be kind of cool would be like twitching, like drawing stuff. I do these. I draw a lot of stuff for the woodworking video, and I draw a lot of shit for graphics and stuff. And I like to maybe it'd be interesting to show that process using the pen tool and using the brush tool and Photoshop and stuff, and just sort of like a draw along with the kooky talky guy, me. So I'm not doing that one right away, but it's going to be Rocket League at first. And if you've never heard of Rocket League, it's soccer with cars. I like to play the basketball version of it, where it's 2-on-2, called Hoops. It's a fun kind of bounce around video game where you just score goals and you blow each other up. Ooh, got to finish that up on that sentence, huh? Make sure you keep that word in. And you score goals, and it's frustrating and difficult, but it's fun and exciting. I can't believe I'm not bored with it. I've been playing it for like 5 years. It's weird. And there's a ton of it's one of those big esports games too. I know that you're probably, well, I don't know, who knows, but we adults hear the word esports and think it's just something. It's like billions and billions of dollars in it's like in Korea, it's like the biggest. They air competitive gaming on television like we do with volleyball. Okay, no, I think it's a huge deal over there. They air Go, the board game Go. They put that on TV in Korea. What a superior country. I want to go there. I need to go. Really want to get out. We live in a trap. We're trapped in Trump's fantasy world. The grifter's paradise has found its goblin king, and we are stuck here because other countries won't let Americans in because we might poison them with our plague. And this motherfucker has a chance of being reelected? partially because of all the cheating. There's no way he would win in a fair election if everybody voted, if they'd passed House Resolution 1, which is one of the few things the Democrats have done well this year, although it's just, if you can't get it through the Senate, there's no hope of it. It was a voting rights thing. Shitty, man. Okay. All right. What a nightmare. Twitch streaming. I got the URL, twitch.com/winners and losers. That's cool. Not bad. And I got patreon.com/winners and losers because I want to build out and do some stuff on that one as well. So more on the way. I am like a type F personality, not a type A. If I were type A, I'd have all this stuff sorted out and figured out, and you'd have like product rollouts and press releases, and oh, look at me, I tuck in my shirt, and look at me, this is a sustainably resourced forehead decal. What is that? Okay, I was thinking that's Target SG1. All right, guys. Jim Cramer. Load it, fucking computer. There it is. Oh, it was faded. Okay. Oh shit! Sorry about that. Jim Cramer is he used to do a show called the Jim Cramer Show. I don't know, but that's the one where he would stand around and hit buttons that say bullshit and smash and buy.
That's like a whole state. Okay, how about Bryan, Connecticut? Bryan. Oh, booyah! Booyah! Oh man, booyah! Including the dog, I think.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about McDonald's?
What's not to like? Although, do you know one time they had this really great promotion with the McDonald's sunglasses, and I got mine and they were broken, and I said, I like McDonald's.
He basically hosts a mobile for adults for the finance industry. The thing that hangs above babies' cribs with the little spaceship and the sun and Mickey Mouse if it's corporate branded or something like that. And Jim Cramer does that for adults on the CNBC, on these talk shows, or on the financial networks and whatnot. I don't know his exact politics. I would bet being a scion or a paragon of capitalism. I almost said tarragon. Great spice. And I assume that he's probably not listening to this. I doubt he's subscribing to Chapo, but so I'm guessing you won't be surprised if you hear how he refers to Nancy Pelosi here. He's talking to Nancy Pelosi on screen, and let's get to the part where we have to put up. We have to defend our girl Nancy Pelosi. This is not cool. What's about to happen?
I mean, what deal can we have, Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president.
That was the president. He blames Trump for what he said. Oh, he's been so infected. This is the kind of people we put on TV in this fucking country. People who can't not channel the evil dictator of the country. Let's start over. This is a pretty short clip, and then we'll get...
I mean, what deal can we have, Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president.
The psychology of both of these people is fascinating. She responds. She holds her composure. She doesn't go, dude. She kind of just closes her mouth. People who are used to being on television are generally fairly in control and composed in these kinds of moments. But you could tell it's got to irk her a little bit. He immediately realizes he shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, we'll start it over. I'll let it play a little further.
I mean, what deal can we have, Crazy Nancy? I'm sorry, that was the president. I have such reverence for the office, I would never use that term.
Oh, okay. Two statements he just said. Sorry, their microphone stand. He has reverence for the office, to whom he's speaking, the person who's currently in the office, and called her Crazy Nancy. I'd have called her Nancy Pantsy. Why not Nancy Pantsy? She wears pants? Ants in my pantsy, Nancy Pantsy. What? Okay. He, instead of saying, I'm sorry to you, he says, I have respect for the office. He's not even say I have respect for you either. So he says, I would never use that term.
But it is
But
hard,
you just did.
Oh, come
But
on.
you just did.
And so she calls him out appropriately. She could have come out. I mean, he deserves a way worse response than what she did. But, I don't know how you're exactly supposed to handle it, so I'm not going to pick on Nancy here. I can't stand her. I think she's one of the evil people of the planet and who is largely responsible for the devastation that's about to be wrought upon the future of humanity. But this is bullshit. This is wrong the way he is. And then he immediately goes into this kind of boyish, oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I didn't. And then listen to what he says, though. She kind of laughs it off. And this is the way like you settle conflict, because neither of them has an interest in a big fight. So they both kind of go, okay, ha, 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 ha. Even though I think I'd say she has a right to be somewhat aggrieved here. It's just super disrespectful. But he just immediately goes into this boyish kind of like, come on. And he says, you know what I mean. And just listen.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The reverence I have for the office.
The reverence he has for the office. You have to, Nancy, don't you understand? I'm going to back up. What I caught here, I'm talking about this way too much. She goes, I do. I know what you mean. Like she I think that is I'll let you listen to it first.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The reverence I have for the office is so great.
Okay, so she says, I do. I know what you mean. That to me is, she is used, that's sexism. I mean, he's being extremely sexist there, but that is her being used to operating in a sexist world. She's done quite well in a very sexist world. She's a very powerful person, but she still faces one of the fundamental pillars of this country, which is male dominance. So she has to know, and I'm sure she's encountered incredible bullshit like this in her whole life, as all women in any workplace have, for the most part. A woman whose life goes through life without ever experiencing this kind of stuff is very rare. And so she kind of, is mollify the right word? I do. But she kind of like gives him what he wants by saying, I know what you mean. It's okay. She's basically saying, it's okay. You can be sexist. It's okay. It's okay. I don't know what else there is to say about it. I mean, fuck, I'm a piece of shit guy. What the hell do I know? But that just jumps out at me that she, puts the fire out, and it's probably rational to immediately just de-stress it by letting him, but it does let him off the hook. This is privilege. He immediately invokes his privilege. And she, and I'm not saying this as a fault of hers, I'm saying this as someone who has to operate in difficult circumstances, is that she kind of participates in his little boyish immediate apology shrug. So let's back up a little bit and just listen.
You know what I mean. You know what I mean. The reverence I have for the office is so great.
Oh, wait a minute. What's this? Oh my God. Be careful! Oh, no! It's a banana. Okay. Banana. Okay, sorry. All right. Okay. This is horrible audio. Great video. Okay. Sorry for those of you not listening. I mean, sorry who are listening only. This is on screen is a banana that just slipped on a banana peel and barfed up a bunch of bananas, including a Bible and a big purple-headed double dildo. This is one of my first animations. I made this in 2014. That's what the files, and I found it, and I was like, oh yeah, the bananas video. So this is one of the first things I ever animated. It's pretty funny. Terrible audio. I might cut this out. I should play it, but okay. We'll be seeing this again. This is fun. The banana has red shoes, by the way, for anybody. So anybody listening, just so you can complete the picture in your mind. I love that banana. That's a cool looking banana. I gotta start selling merch. By the way, two things, guys. Would you buy merch? And would you, if you're an audio listener and I do stuff that's like super visual and it bothers you or something, there's always going to be a little bit of that. It's kind of the inherent, it's built into using videos, but I definitely am conscientious and I don't want to turn you off or something. So forgive me and move on, or let me know and I will be like, okay, sorry, I'll be more careful. I'm open to it. I value your feedback. So, all right. All right, that's banana. So then Jim Cramer got to a little talking to, This is, she helped him feel okay about it, but this is him apologizing. And I have not listened to this, so we'll see what he says.
Earlier today, when I talked to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Squawk on the Street.
Squawk on the Street.
I made a very stupid comment. It was a tongue-in-cheek attempt to make a point about the harsh tone of the negotiations in Washington.
Oh, he's trying to act like it was deliberate, not just like a spill out of his weak brain.
Washington. But it felt completely flat, and I apologize for that.
It fell flat. I can't believe that's the angle he's going with. That bitch didn't laugh at my joke. She didn't seem to pick up on my tone. She should... That stupid fucking cunt should fucking squawk a little more.
As I said immediately after the comment, I want to make it clear that I have an incredible amount of respect for both the speaker and, of course, the office she holds.
Oh, what? Okay. Well, he said it slower at the end, so you know it's final. What a piece of shit. Fuck off, Jim Cramer. Hey, Jim Cramer, you suck. Joe Biden, our favorite future disappointment, present disappointment, past disappointment. I've been holding off on dogging him on Twitter. I don't actually go at him, but like I've been shitting all over Biden for about a year or two. I think he's it's comparable. Him and Pelosi are both just top generals in the destruction of humanity. Biden, you know his record. He's got just nothing but an ocean of shit and misery in his wake. He's the villain in the lives of millions and millions of people. He's destroyed families with his policies. He's killed people with his votes. He's a terrible guy and a bad campaigner and an awful choice to be in this moment right now. And he's slipping. He's losing his edge, the charmingness of himself. So this clip was going around on Twitter. And we'll just watch it, and then you'll understand why people clipped it out. I hope this doesn't fuck up my copyrights here, but we're going to let it go. All right, let me set the scene. He's walking towards a podium, and it's like a bunch of flags. It's just, you just picture a podium in some auditorium type thing. I think that's Kamala Harris behind it. Like she's off to the side applauding, but she's sitting by herself. I'm pretty sure that's her. It's hard to tell. It's weird that they just have her in the shot, like in the back. That should be like a feature of everything he does from now on. She's got like a smaller plane that flies in the background. All right, let's assume. So he's approaching the podium, taking off his mask as he's about to speak.
I just have one thing to say.
He pulled out his phone.
Hang on here.
Okay, it's not Kamala. I'm sorry. It's someone wearing glasses, and I was probably being stereotyping there. It was hard to see because the camera had not zoomed in further. Hank, you just walked into it. Backing up, we'll just listen to Biden here.
All right.
And now he's smiling. He's starting to move his head around.
There you go. Dance a little bit, Joe. Come on. I'll tell you about that.
And he's looking at somebody, and somebody goes, "Dance a little, Joe. Come on."
I'll tell you what. If I had the talent of any one of these people, I'd be elected president by acclamation. Thank you so much.
He said something. What the fuck does elected president by acclamation mean? Isn't that like when you go to the mountains and you got to hang out for a few days so that your body acclimates to the different oxygen level?
By acclamation.
What is that? What is he talking about?
Thank you so much.
So obviously, if you just see this clip, it looks like he's pandering, and that's exactly what he's doing. He is. This is the kind of stunt that people hate about politicians. It's so annoying that they do. But I looked into it a little further, and the blowback online is somewhat deserved, but I'd say also in a lot of ways that have been missed by a lot of people, because I bet people aren't about to hear what you're about to hear. Not fair. Turns out the band that makes that song, I don't know how to talk about music, was there. And the guy is like a supporter. So from the Washington Examiner, here's a headline. Here's why Biden played Despacito from his phone at a Florida event by Emily Larson, political reporter. Oh, shit. Okay. Where's the screen? Oh, sorry. Hold on. Okay, there it is. Biden's playing of the song, though, makes more sense. Okay, this is a mid-article. Biden's playing of the song, though, makes more sense in the context of the event. Luis Fonsi, the singer who recorded Despacito, was one of the people who spoke at the event before Biden. The Puerto Rican singer talked about how his hit song represented the best of his country, even with the president in the White House trying to divide us. One song, on Espanol, broke all the barriers across cultural languages and ages. Fonsi said, Despacito proved to me that in this country we will never be defined by our differences, and no matter who is president, Latinos and Latinas will always have a place here. Well, that's not true at all. But, I mean, of course we're always going to have Latinos and Latinas, and that's great. Boy, that phrasing of that sounded problematic there, Hank. So anyway, the guy was there. The singer was there. The band dude was there. So he played the song of the guy who just spoke. If Ben Folds 5 were in the audience and spoke, and then Joe Biden goes up there and plays Brick. She's a brick and I'm drowning slow. That's a song about abortion, right? That would be funny. Yeah, so that's what happened. It's honestly fine, but it's also like, why would they think this might not, like, taken out of context, this does look kind of stupid. It's also, so what? Even if this guy wasn't there, it's just classic stupid, political messaging. But it is the kind of thing that's frustrating. I could not imagine Bernie doing something like this. Hold on a second. I'm getting my phone out. He's got like a razor flip phone. All right, it's in the middle of a game of Centipede. Getting pretty good at it. Yeah, so it's all right, not really that. So then Biden went to a Italian-American event. Same kind of graphics, though. It is very similar staging. So I just want you all to just enjoy this. He speaking to a group of Italian-Americans. Politicians have to try to reach out to all different kinds of people.
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
They're dancing?
I tell you what, if I had the talent of any one of these people, I'd be elected president by acclamation. Thank you so much.
Toadstool's over there going, yay, yay. Is Toadstool Italian? Or is it just the brothers? Luigi? Wario? Mario? That's fun. All right. That was good. It's called comedy. See? Hire me, Conan, you fuck. All right. This was on Twitter. Cornel West. This is like a year ago. This is not what happened. We got Tucker Carlson's face on screen where he has that look on his face like he's like his fart is stuck, and it's just this perpetual. He's very sly. He's an evil wizard who is feeling the news at his audience. Like he just does this. So why are we doing it? Why are the liberals? Oh, because they want to invade your bed and finger your wife. Like that's how he talks. To try, like people, whoever trusts this guy is just having like an evil manipulator messing with their mind and having their validation, their biases validated and all that. But anyway, Cornel West was on, and part of the conversation I saw surrounding this was, should people go on Fox News and should people go on Twitter? And Cornel West is a brilliant person, and he's an amazing locutor, right? He speaks beautifully. I love listening to him talk. Sometimes I can't understand what the hell he's talking about because I'm stupid. But let's just listen to what Cornel says here. This is interesting.
Fundamental commitment is to the dignity of ordinary people and to make sure they can live lives of decency. So it's not an ism, no, brother. It's about decency. It's about fairness. Right. It's about the accountability of the powerful vis-a-vis those who have less power. The workplace, women dealing with the household, gays, lesbians, trans, black people, indigenous peoples, immigrants. How do we ensure that they are treated decently and that the powerful don't in any way manipulate, subjugate, and exploit them?
Well, I mean, if that's what democratic socialism is, then I'm basically on board. I do think that ordinary people, middle-class people, ought to have
Absolutely.
dignity. And I think that our current systems make it hard for them to have dignity. So I agree with all of that.
There you go. He talked him into it. No, obviously not. Tucker Carlson. Heir to the Swanson's frozen TV dinner fortune. That's true. That sounds like something I might make up. His middle name is Peas. Oh, shit. No, he's got some middle name that's Tucker. It's like Leviathan or some shit like that. It's one of those rich people names. I knew it. I was thinking about it yesterday. I can't think of it right now. It'll come up later. Tucker. Anyway, yeah, so he's super rich, just gobs of money from big old money, and he's just one of those this classic born rich, always rich, conservative asshole. I think he's got intelligence. I think intelligence and smart are different concepts partially, but so I don't think he's stupid, and that's what makes him more dangerous. There's even been some rumors that he might. I'm not sure if this comes from him. I think this might just be speculation. I really don't know because I didn't look into it. But I've seen some speculation that he may be considered as like a candidate for future office, which would be kind of scary because he's wily. He'll get it. He's like Wario. He is the Wario of this situation. But yeah, a dignity-focused system that truly meant to provide dignity for everybody would go against everything Tucker Carlson has ever advocated for and talked about. So he's bullshit. It's nonsense. It's the kind of stuff they like to say, but it's not the kind of stuff they like to actually do. I'm interested in the doing of it. But anyway, so I was just glad to see that this was going around. And it's also a kind of thing that we don't have to be afraid to speak about this stuff publicly. Like Democrats will, Pelosi's and Schumer's and the kind of old guard of the Clintons, Pete Buttigieg. He's a slight evolved like step up from the Clintons because he's a different generation, but he's still very much in that realm. They wouldn't want to overpromise something like dignity. Let's just listen to Cornel again. I'm not going to listen to Tucker Carlson here. Starting over.
Fundamental commitment is to the dignity of ordinary people and to make sure they can live lives of decency. So it's not an ism, no, brother. It's about decency. It's about fairness. Right. It's about the accountability of the powerful vis-a-vis those who have less power. The workplace, women.
Power differential is what this whole project is about, in my opinion. It's about recognizing people whose dignity has been denied them by systems of power that are set up intentionally to deny them that, to make use of them as long as they can produce profit for somebody who doesn't need more at the cost of their time, their energy, their potential, and then you inject all these also other, kind of destructive social mores into them that have been simmering in the culture for generations. The child abuse and the sexism and the patriarchy and the strange, even just a two-parent household is a fucking form of abuse. I'm not saying anybody who raises kids with two parents are abusing their kids. I'm saying like that is a psychological deficit that is in conflict with your instincts. You're actually like the ideal situation is lots of dads and lots of moms and lots of kids and lots of grandparents all over the place because that's the group we were raised. We evolved in those that a scenario more like that, to be quite simplistic about it. But if 50,000 years ago, way before agriculture, way before civilization emerged, if 50,000 years ago you were a child who was raised by one mom and one dad, if that was the case, something has gone horribly wrong. Something has gone incredibly wrong if you find yourself in that situation. That means there has been a calamity that you and the two people who are looking after you barely survived. Or maybe you were off, chasing squirrels or something. Do they have squirrels? Did they have squirrels in Africa during evolutionary times? Or even now? I don't ever see squirrels. No, there's squirrels in Europe. There's squirrels in America. What if that's just what, the next 20 minutes? All right, so good for you, Cornel West. I love hearing that guy. I'm not sure what. Oh yeah, that's right. There's this next clip is Donald fuckface Trump at the ABC News town hall. You can see if you're watching this, it's appropriately socially distanced. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people in the audience. The lady is standing up and asking Trump a question. We'll hear what he says. Apologies for putting Trump's voice in your ears, by the way. It's I'm not the worst offender of this, but I get a little. I feel my anxiety goes up when I hear his voice. I can't take this piece of shit. Okay, let's go.
The wearing of masks has proven to lessen the spread of COVID. Why don't you support a mandate for national mask wearing? And why don't you wear a mask more often?
Well, I do wear them when I have to and when I'm in hospitals and other locations. But I will say this. They said at the Democrat convention they're going to do a national mandate. They never did it because they've checked out and they didn't do it. And
so the people who can't do a national mandate, even if they could, they're not in power, didn't do a national mandate. They're not in power, you fucking idiot.
A good question is you ask, like Joe Biden, they said, we're going to do a national mandate on masks.
He's called on all governors to have them. It is a state responsibility.
No, but he didn't do it. I mean, he never did it.
Joe Biden never did a mandate. The guy who's not even in power at all.
Now, there is, by the way, a lot of people don't want to wear masks. There are a lot of people think the masks are not good. And there are a lot of people that, as an example,
who are those people?
Well, I'll tell you who those people are. Waiters. They come on.
Waiters. Waiters. I think he just tripped up his files here. A lot of people. He's validating all the madness on the right, where they've been taught that this is a hoax, not to wear masks, and the politicizing this thing. There was a story. There's more to this clip, but just real quick. The post office was going to send out 5 masks to everybody, like 600 million. I don't think that's enough for 5, but a lot masks to every person, just all the addresses. The post office is a wonderful thing. Not under its current leadership by any stretch, but they were going to provide masks to everybody. And that would have undercut the conservative narrative that this is something to be not worried about, that they don't want you to have to wear a mask. This whole making everybody confused. And, conservatives don't just get their information from Trump. This stuff trickles through their media, through the radio, through the internet shows, through the TV, through all this stuff, through their email chains with their racist memes, through Facebook especially. And the way it just leads to everybody to have mixed feelings and mixed emotions and then to fight about it. So people fight. People get mad at each other. I live in a city. I live in Los Angeles, so I don't necessarily see a lot of people who don't wear masks. But I've seen a few, and I'm just like, oh, you fucking ass. It's like, how dare you? So I could only imagine what it must be like to live in a red area where you've got a bunch of smooth brains running around without a mask on. Especially these cases that rise to the internet where they become some lady or some asshole freaking out about yelling at a Trader Joe's employee, punching an Applebee's window because they have to wear a mask and they don't want to. Again, the confidence epidemic is preceded the actual epidemic here. It's not the right way. Epidemics. Okay. All right. What the hell? Okay. Let's keep going.
Over and they serve you and they have a mask. And I saw it the other day where they were serving me and they're playing with a mask. I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying what happens. They're playing with a mask. So the mask is over and they're touching it and then they're touching the plate. That can't be good.
Okay. So his answer to the woman is, so one of the waiters I had wearing a mask was touching the mask. And so this came out, actually this was the woman who did the ad that worked on Mike Pence's COVID response team. She said that she quoted him saying he doesn't have to touch these disgusting people, talking about his own supporters. Like, how, if the Democrats aren't able to turn that into a cudgel, of course now the Supreme Court's just going to dominate all news for the next, it's so bad. But he was talking about his own people. He's afraid of it. He doesn't want to catch it. So his answer to her is, I'm scared of it, but other people don't want to because I've made them, he didn't say this, but I've made them confused about it. I lost my thread there a little bit, sorry about that.
There are a lot of people, if you look at Dr. Fauci's original statement, you look at a lot of people, CDC, you look at a lot of people's original statement, they said very strongly, George, don't wear masks. Then all of a sudden they went to wear masks. the concept of a mask is good, but it also does, you're constantly touching it, you're touching your face, you're touching plates. There are people that don't think masks are good.
How is this a fucking answer? And also, why is George Stephanopoulos not pushing back harder on this nonsense? George Stephanopoulos, by the way, a lot of people forget this. See, I'm doing Trump there. He was Bill Clinton's chief of staff in the 90s. He's just another creature of the tribe, of the DC, haunted forest of fuckheads who cause all these problems. So anyway, all right, I can't handle this Trump asshole. We can't do more of that. Where are we at? All right, we're already over an hour. I was going to do this eviction story. It's not. We'll do it next time. I've got like 10 things on my back burner that I've forgotten, or that I'm like, oh man, I keep saying about doing stuff, and so we'll get to that another time. I'm going to hold on to that clip. So this is a real quick one though. The Chiron on screen says federal judge blocks postal service changes. That's actually the previous story. So I was confused there. For a second about it. But Lori Loughlin, and this is not like a thing that I've been following super close. I don't follow celebs and care too much about it. I think it's worth paying attention to some of it because it's part of the way our culture works. I think celebrity is one of America's religions because it folds in really nicely with vicariousness and capitalism and entertainment consumption. So celebrity is a really interesting way that I think it's something really weird about how humans, just as a group of animals, will deem individuals within the group special status because they recognize them. And I've been pursuing a career in entertainment business for 10 years now, starting stand-up in 2009. And there's so I'm kind of on a path. If things really worked out for me, I would maybe achieve some level of recognition. Not like Lori. What if that was like my thing? Like I was just like jealous of the Full House cast. Like fucking Dave Coulier. Actually, he was a comic, by the way. Kimmy. I think Granger is that her last name? I don't remember. It's that goddamn twins. Remember how that weird that was? One of the twins going to be 18, little babies. That's another strange chapter. I hope Ken Burns covers that in his Full House documentary. But anyway, it's goofy. It's weird. It's like fame is strange to me. It's a strange thing. And if when you do comedy and you set out to be a comedian, you'd be lying. If any comedian tells you they never think about becoming famous, they're bullshitting you. Of course, it's come up. Of course, you thought about it. I've always looked at fame. Say you have like a standard career, right? Like you slowly build up, you become a decent feature, you start to headline small rooms, you start to headline clubs. Over time, eventually you make contacts in Hollywood, and now you start having representation, and that's what really opens a lot of doors for you. If you get lucky, if you network correctly, if you have a modicum of talent, you don't even need all that much talent, to be honest. You start to be able to write for shows. You start to be able to maybe produce things yourself and do shows, and the internet comes by, and that changes things drastically in a way where it reduces barriers to entry, so you can put out content and do a lot more. That's definitely the route that I'm taking if I'm going to ever succeed in comedy. It'll be through videos and through maybe podcasting I'd like to, or something like that. But if you reach certain levels of status, you start to get an easier time, and eventually you start to get a little fame. Now you're known, and now especially if you can deliver in front of a live audience, and now you start to become something of a name. And you slowly, your mind is being molded and warped even more as this process goes on. But you end up making more money for your agents, making more money for your representation. If you have some successful films or some successful appearances on shows, and get cast on something, your star rises. There's a fairly standard career track. I've always thought of the fame that might come from that as kind of like an unfortunate side effect. I've never thought to myself like, oh man, I would love to be famous. I need to be recognized. I'm sure there's like a massive component in my psychology that is about wanting attention and needing to have my opinions validated. I'm doing a solo podcast. No shit. Of course. I wouldn't deny that. And that's no doubt probably connects backwards towards, into deficits from my childhood in various ways that my head was scrambled. And anyway, but the fame part of it is not something, that's what I was referring to a little bit earlier when I was talking about, when I said vicariousness. That concept's been kicking around in my brain a bunch this year in terms of the way people relate to wealth. I just saw an article about the Kardashians. Keeping Up with the Kardashians is ending. This is real news, real hard-hitting news here. And I'm not sure how I came across this article, but it was they'd done some research on watching it, and it turns out that people who watch that show indications of being rich in terms of how they view poor people. There's been tons and decades of studies that show that people of various kinds in various ways that show that wealthier people are less empathetic, and they're dismissive, and they tend to be more okay with other people's suffering, and quicker to be you just kind of turn into an asshole. That's why the compliment that someone is down to earth of a celebrity or a rich famous person or something like that, like, yeah, but they're down to earth. It's because that the subtext of that is that we expect them to not be. It's a surprise that they're actually somewhat grounded in humanity. I've heard Jeff Goldblum is down to earth. I have no idea if that's true. I know he works out a lot. So anyway, like the vicariousness of the Kardashians is a way, and I think this ties into that human thing where you have this functional imagination, which is on the receiving end of communication is imagination, meaning like in order for you to understand what I'm saying, if I tell you a story, is you have to imagine the story. When you read a book, you imagine the story. When you watch a show, you experience. This is my joke about porn. When you're watching porn, a little part of your brain is like, I'm pretty sure that's me. Like otherwise it doesn't work. So we have this ability to inhabit another person's perception. And that's an evolved trait from a social animal that had to cooperate in order to survive. So it's a really useful thing to do. It's why we feel things, and it's fun. It's why I'm not going to watch the rest of The Good Place until I have a girlfriend. I was watching it. I got like 6 episodes in. I was laughing, having fun. And then I was hit with a waterfall of loneliness because I wanted to share the experience with somebody. And so people can kind of you can have a shitty life. It's almost like celebrity worship and celebrity reality shows about celebrities, especially Get Me Out of Here, I'm a Celebrity. Remember that? But these like wealth kind of porn. Yeah, wealth porn, I guess maybe is way. The Kardashians are like the epitome of it. You get to kind of be them. Well, a little part of you is like, I'm pretty sure I'm a Kardashian. Because you get to experience what it's like being in their house a little bit through the filter and the medium of television and internet. You get to experience what it's like having a Bentley breakdown and having another Bentley show up to take you down for the rest of your trip. You get to experience having a super famous, mentally ill husband, Kanye. You get to experience, throwing a dog into the Grand Canyon. I'm not sure what they do on that show. I don't know. I'm not sure what I think that's how every episode ends. It's a housekeeper's dog. They just take it because the housekeeper took longer than 15-minute break. Yeah, so there's a real powerful, here's that word again, mollify. I have no idea if that's a word. Let's Google that shit. Hold on, mollify, death. Appease the anger or anxiety of someone. Reduce the severity of something. Soften. Oh, so like every morning my penis mollifies when I wake up. I think I used it correctly when I was talking about Pelosi earlier, but I don't know if that's right now. But okay, whatever. What the fuck was this? Oh, so people have this vicarious experience by watching this stuff, and I like sci-fi. I want to be in space. I'd like to be Neelix, right? The chef on the Star Trek Voyager. I'd like to be Tuvok. Neelix and Tuvok are opposites, in case you can't tell. I figured that out after my 3rd watch through of the entire series. Star Trek Voyager, best Star Trek series, by the way. Don't believe the critics. So we all do this. It's not an unhealthy thing, but when you get to worship the rich people through your consumption, you embody their traits a little bit. And it's not surprising. So what the hell am I? Okay, so these Lori Laughlin, she was an actress, and she's done really well for herself. And her husband's name is Giuseppe or Guillermo or Giusimio. He's like a rich guy or something. So they're super wealthy. They bribed their way into college for their daughter. They spent like $500,000 or something. I don't honestly know the details. They got caught. It was a big news, as if this really honestly matters to regular people's lives. But it did indicate the privilege and the way not just the competitive pressures that are on parents to try to get their kids into the right schools or whatever else. That's blah, 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 blah. But also just that these people exist in a stratosphere, in a different status than the rest of us, and the rules don't really apply to them. So the fact that anybody got caught, I think there's another rich Hollywood person got caught with this stuff too. I'd like them to arrest Kushner's father. I think he's dead. Is he dead? I have no idea. But they bribed their way into Harvard for $2.5 million, way more than this. Anyway, she finally got sentenced, and or this year, I think. I don't think this story is about being sentenced. This story is about that the judge has allowed her to pick the where she has to serve her 2-month prison sentence. I think the dad, Giuseppe Giusimio, has to serve a 5-month sentence. So she gets to choose the facility where she serves her 2 months. And she chose, okay, let's just let the story play out here.
Actress Lori Loughlin got approval from a judge to serve her 2-month prison sentence at a facility of her choice. According to newly obtained court papers, Loughlin will serve her time at a medium security prison in Victorville, California.
At a medium security Ritz-Carlton in Aspen, Colorado. It's not in existence. They're going to build a Ritz-Carlton for her to serve her prison sentence there. So she's walking away here. She's being surrounded by a crush of reporters. It's funny that they don't have parking garages. You know, you think like you'd make sure that they did, but I like that people have to walk around in public and have their fucking face filmed and this stuff. Not that you should harass any old person, but the press gets to access you if you have to go outside. The frog marching and whatnot. This is her leaving.
California, that's northeast of Los Angeles.
She doesn't look happy, and she doesn't look like she wants to talk to anybody. And you know what's going to happen is eventually she's going to write a book, and she's going to go on all the talk shows. You know how most prisoners go on Ellen and talk about all the lessons they've learned. I guarantee that's what's next after this experience. She'll probably go on vacation for a year or two. Oh, I just had to buy a home in Portugal and work on my memoirs, but I cried. Ellen, I tell you, I cried for weeks. I was so upset. The prison served room temperature grapes.
The actress pleaded guilty in May for her role in the college admission scandal. Her husband, clothing designer Massimo Giulianulli, will...
See, his name is fuck. I don't know the name. Clothing designer. Can we get rid of fashion? Please? Silver onesies. One size, too. Babies, you get a 6-foot onesie. Make the best of it. Shaq O'Neal, 6-foot onesie. Make the best of it, you huge monster. No, fashion's insane, though. Fashion drives a lot of pollution. How about we just change the cycle? Maybe every 5 years you update. No, you got to have the spring fashion, the summer fashion, the winter fashion. Fall fashion. Make sure you don't, oh my God, you can't be seen wearing last year's belts. How insane is that? I know it's a bunch of ways. It's a signaling information delivery system to show people that you're paying attention to the magazines or whatever the fuck it is in somehow some human status proofing thing. All these corporations take advantage of your psychology. I was going to ramble about the social dilemma. It's a guy who's like a more or less addicted to Twitter. It's really interesting. That's actually part of the reasons why I decided to take this weekend off. I honestly don't think if I go 2 days without looking at Twitter, although I have been up to Wisconsin a couple times where it probably did. Now, although the phone works. Okay, where am I? Okay, let's finish the story, then we'll ramble a little more.
Will serve his 5-month sentence at a prison in Santa Barbara County.
Oh, Santa Barbara. I'm sure there's some rough, although California's filled with fucking terrible prisons and stuff. But I guarantee fashion designer Giuseppe Muliano is not going to be. I feel like this is a kind of an Italian. But now you could call me out for being an anti-Italian jerk this episode. Oh yeah. Okay. He ain't going to hardcore prison. He's not going to be sleeping in a gymnasium with triple bunk beds filled with MS-13 gang members and Aryan movement Nazis and every other gang that these prisons are terrifying. I'm so scared of prison. Wait, that thing's on screen there. So what are this? I don't know. It's just ridiculous. She chose a prison in Victorville, California. So I hopped on the old Google Earth studio. This is a bit of a visual. I'll try to talk you through it too for those of you that aren't on here. But we're looking at the planet Earth, and she's going to Martha Stewart prison. How insane is it that Martha Stewart went to prison for insider trading and served? I wonder if she did a prison cookbook. That would have been her thing. Like that, lean into it. Martha Stewart, prison tattoos. Prison tattoos for the busy mom. So we're looking at Earth. We're going to go visit her prison. See where Full House star Lori Laughlin is going to be spending 2 months. Although, let's be prepared for her to get out early. I'm sure that'll ruin Christmas. She's going to get out early and terrorize the land. No, it's not. Here we go. We're flying into the Earth. Zooming in on California. Boom. Okay, we've paused above Los Angeles. If you're looking on screen, this is Los Angeles. I'm mousing over the kind of core of Los Angeles. I live somewhere in a spotty right around there. So the downtown is roughly right there, the little cutie. And this big blue blob is where all the octopuses have sex. Okay? So I'm somewhere between downtown and where the octopuses bang. And now we fly even a little further. Google Studio does these stupid auto ease. I didn't feel like fixing it. We're zooming in above. Now we're above into the desert area. Ooh, bam. The complex of 3 large facilities. This is the prison she's going to be staying at. Medium security. You got to have prisons for the occasional white person that can't afford a good enough attorney to get them out of jail. 2 months. So we're tightening in on the shot there. This is actually Google Earth Studio. It gives you this ability to keyframe and control it. And it's like, wow, it's kind of cool. So there's a big yard. You can see maybe you could picture Andy Dufresne and Morgan Freeman playing a game of catch, picking up a piece of shale, carving chess pieces, perhaps, swimming through a pipe, maybe, to freedom. And we're zooming past the rest of the prison here. It's a big yard. There's lots of big buildings. It's kind of hard to see. But now we're in the sports complex. There's 2 baseball fields. Looks like a soccer field. There's 4 basketball courts. So there's 6 hoops. That's nice. I mean, I'm not against prisoners having any of this, by the way. I'm for a rehabilitative model like Norway does. I don't want punishment-based prison because I give a shit about the next victims. I want to rehabilitate not just the person, but rehabilitation is also a way of protecting the next victims. If you reduce the number of victims over time by proper rehabilitation, you will reduce the profits of the prison industry and the police industry and the weapons industry. Anything that makes money off of fear benefits from a cruel prison system. They want it to be brutal. It also fits with this, it's not fair to the 4th century, folks, but with this 4th century mindset of torture and punishment for any wrongdoing. Even murderers and stuff. Protect society by exiling them and not exiling them, but excluding them from society when people are truly dangerous. But I'm for prison abolition in general. That is to say, develop a society where you have no need for it whatsoever. But meanwhile, we should do rehabilitative prison, which would be a process towards abolition. I have not done a lot of reading on this, and I'm sure there's a lot more sophisticated analysis to be had on it. So please do not accept anything I say as some kind of authority whatsoever. But we're looking at tennis court. I heard tennis courts. Oh yeah, we zoom in on the. Oh, that was just a little too quick there. Hold on. They're not. If these are tennis courts, they don't have doubles. Normally there's a line outside. It's hard to see. It's still a tough shot. But yeah, there's looks like some tennis courts. There's another thing here. This must be volleyball, right? Over here on the right. Looks like a volleyball court. You got some tents. You got some canopies. It's a desert, so they're going to need some shade. Shade is one of the necessities for human life. life in the desert. We're not all Gila monsters. So, yeah, there's the facilities. That's where she's going. She's picked out a good one. So, one thing's funny. If you search for it on Google Maps, so what we just watched was Google Earth Studio. But, so if you search for it on Google Maps, you can kind of see it. You get the same satellite shot. There you are. You can see the names of the roads and the little. But there's the funny thing is over here on the left, you get reviews. There's 3.4 stars out of 5 for the Federal Correctional Institution in Victorville. There's also a thing called USP Victorville, which I think is some kind of different corrections thing. Maybe that's the one she's going to. Who knows? So let's read the reviews. This is so weird. There's reviews for. Look, it even says prison. It says prison right there on the Google screen. Click on it. Here are the reviews. Number 1. I deliver a load. Wow, is nice to go to this place. Everybody are wonderful, polite. Thanks. From Francisco Urrela. That's either someone having a laugh or the guy actually delivers there and just felt like he wanted to say he likes delivering there. Richard Murillo says the mattress was thin and the food sucked, honestly. Worst Airbnb I've ever experienced. Ha ha. I think you're kidding around, aren't you, Richard? Cole Stewart says rooms were smaller than expected and the on-site restaurant left something to be desired. Room service was not an option. I think he stole the other guy's joke. These internet comedians are stealing jokes. No, it's obviously parallel. Thank you. Mark Hansen. Awesome. Good food, great weather. 5 stars, by the way. Room was a little small and my roommate smelled funny. The chocolates on my pillow at night weren't chocolates. See? There's a decent joke. I bet they were mint. They were probably mint. Let's read the other reviews. Fucking reviews for prisons. I mean, why not? I suppose if I were on my way to prison, when I research a new woodworking tool, I will definitely look up the reviews and just kind of, how the hell do I get back to this shit? Where's the other screen? There it is. Okay. This one has 4.2 out of stars. I'm not going to read all 18, but we'll just scan it a little bit. Okay, someone says, I've spent my whole life defending police officers. More than once, I have silenced a person who refers to the cops with bad taste nicknames. I always say they're just doing their job. But now I do not know what to think. Oh my God. This is a huge... Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, let's go for it. All my life, I thought that police worked for the people, and that is why it has some kind of power over the population. However, this power has a limit. Today, 2:10:19 in the morning, around 11 a.m., I went to visit my father at this prison. They called my name to get in. As usual, they turned to see what I was wearing. As usual, I wore my jeans from work, since after that, I will work. They saw me... God, you gotta go see your dad and go to work, man. They saw me and asked me, are they jeans? And I answered yes. I always wore those same ones. They asked me again the question 3 times, and the answer did not change. They did not believe me and told me to go to the car to change. I told them that my mother left us there and that will come back at 3 p.m. Their answer was that we had to wait for her in the waiting room. I borrowed the phone and my mom did not answer, so we had to wait in the room. 20 minutes passed and the lady, now alone, came back and told me that if I wanted to call again, I said yes. Asked me that if... Okay, just a little confused. Asked me if I wanted to call again. I said yes. My mother answered me and said that she was going to arrive in 30 minutes. The lady asked me to start walking, to which I replied, I'm going to wait half an hour in the waiting room, and if she doesn't come, I will leave. And she said, you cannot be waiting here for half an hour. You have to get out and walk down the street. I asked her, is it really? And she said, yes, and start now. This was in Victorville. It was about to rain. It was windy and super cold. Apart from this, I had my sister, who was 12 years old, and my brother of 7, in which I had the idea of sending 2 children of that age to walk down the street with that weather, without a cell phone and without money. Where is the moral respect? Wow, man. Jesus. 24 likes on that post. Boy, oh boy. This is crazy. Oh, shit. I clicked on that. Man. What? Wow. That's so weird. Someone wrote great employer. Okay, one more. I don't know if it's... I'm just reading it. I spent 12 years in this lovely facility for pirating a Gwen Stefani song. I mean, they do threaten you with like major punishments for pirating. That's why I'm like, ooh, well, got to burn my old hard drives. It's filled with Gwen Stefani songs. The same one. Gotta say, was so pleased with the intense hospitality of my fellow inmates that I would probably pirate her full. Okay, yeah, it's joking around. The food was exquisite. Let's get to the next one. Next paragraph. Tomfoolery was common among my fellows, and I've never felt more alive. All right. Ha, ha, ha. We get it. Everybody's a joker. Well, People, the one complaining about being kicked out and forced to walk before their ride showed up, that sounds real. That one was probably. Well, this is a weird podcast. Yeah, so that's anyway. That's where the Full House lady is going to go live, and we'll see how it goes. What insane. And then she'll be like, I have started a foundation to help raise bribes for poor people so they too can get into a good college of their choosing. Okay, I know this is going on. I didn't expect all those reviews to be like that. So let's just real quick touch on a story that's not directly connected to the actor from Full House spending $500,000 of hers and her clothing designer's money to get their daughter, who if I recall, and now I'm remembering because I think this happened when I was working at Young Turks. Anyway, I recall that the daughter was like with the chancellor of the college, like they're all on a yacht, or when like I don't know, it was just anyway, whatever. Jesus. But this story's not connected, but it is worth showing a contrast between how a former cast member of Full House is treated versus this young man, Khalif Browder, born in 1993, died in 2015. In a New Yorker, Jennifer Gonnerman writes, I'm not going to read a ton here, but a few paragraphs. Last fall, I wrote about a young man named Khalif Browder who spent 3 years on Rikers Island, one of the world's most brutal prisons in New York, who spent 3 years on Rikers Island without being convicted of a crime. He had been arrested in the spring of 2010 at age 16 for a robbery he insisted he had not committed. Then he spent more than 1,000 days on Rikers waiting for a trial that never happened. During that time, he endured about 2 years in solitary confinement, where he attempted to end his life several times. Once, in February 2012, he ripped his bedsheet into strips, tied them together to create a noose, and tried to hang himself from the light fixture in his cell. In November of 2013, 6 months after he left Rikers, Browder attempted suicide again. This time he tried to hang himself at home from a banister, and he was taken to the psychiatric ward at St. Barnabas Hospital, not far from his home in the Bronx. When I met him in the spring of 2014, he appeared to be more stable. Then, late last year, about 2 months after my story about him appeared, he stopped going to classes at Bronx Community College. During the week of Christmas, he was confined in the psych ward at Harlem Hospital. One day after his release, he was hospitalized again, this time back at St. Barnabas. When I visited him there on January 9th, he did not seem like himself. He was gaunt, restless, and deeply paranoid. He had recently thrown out his brand new television, he explained, because it was watching me. They broke this guy, and he killed himself finally. He was never even put into a trial. And he was picked up with a friend. I don't have all the details. I read about it a little bit. He and a friend were accused of stealing a backpack from somebody. The cops took him in. They didn't, once the cops grab you, you don't get to have any power. And he wound up in the system in one of the most brutal places. A 16-year-old boy, a kid, without any conviction. Now, even if he was convicted, it's a terrible place to be. And it's tragedy. For what? He had a record that doesn't excuse anything that happened to him, but the cops used that as justification for bringing him in. And I imagine that the court probably similarly. And I'm sure there's, as happens, it was something to do with a stolen truck that hit a parked car with a group of people. And that's, I think, where his record came from. And from what I read, he wasn't the driver. He may have even been there and was along for that too. But that's a teenage bullshit, dumb teenage thing. Should you have to face this kind of consequence for the rest of your life? And when you get picked up by the police for a bullshit robbery thing, they just lock you away for 3 years, put you in solitary, and his soul and his mind is so broken. I don't think I would. I relate to this because I feel like, I'm not trying to say I understand Khalif's story whatsoever, but I'm a sensitive man. I wouldn't be able to handle it. And I know I've been down some of the dark corridors of my mental illness, of depression. I'm not It's a weird thing to promise. But I'm saying, like, this clicks into that part of my psyche where I'm like, man, I don't know if I would be similarly broken by something like this. And he was brutalized. I remember doing some stuff on this at TYT because I would edit Francis Maxwell's videos, and he covered racial justice stories quite a lot. This is from an earlier piece, though. Same writer. So a different article in New Yorker. This is about him being taken into the system. Late on Saturday, 17 hours after the police picked Browder up, an officer and a prosecutor interrogated him, and he again maintained his innocence. The next day, he was led into a courtroom where he learned that he had been charged with robbery, grand larceny, and assault. The judge released his friend, permitting him to remain free while the case moved through the courts. But because Browder was still on probation, the judge ordered him to be held and set bail at $3,000. The amount was out of reach for his family, and soon Browder found himself aboard a Department of Correction bus. He fought back panic, he told me later. Staring through the grating on the bus window, he watched the Bronx disappear. Soon there was water on either side as the bus made its way across a long, narrow bridge to Rikers Island. That's a horror film. But this was his reality. And they didn't have $3,000. I think I have very low confidence, but I know that like you only have to pay a percentage of the bail or something like that. You still have to go into debt to some bail bondsman. If you've ever been near a prison, I was driving through Chicago once, and suddenly I was like upon like a correctional facility, like a court or something. It was, and there's all these bail bonds. You could tell it was like a different kind of facility. You know, like these things have a footprint that is very detectable. Although I think there's also like high-rise prisons too. I know there's one in Chicago. Anyway, there's all these bail bonds shops outside, and they look real shady. They're just like these like weird storefronts. These sort of, and this was an older neighborhood in Chicago, so these buildings weren't like strip malls, but they were still very peculiar. And there's a movement to end cash bail because we're just holding poor people and poor families like the Browders hostage while their boys and girls are tortured inside because they don't have a percentage or of $3,000 or $3,000. $3,000 would have saved this guy's life, and hopefully he would have had to had a trial and would have been found innocent or something, and that would have been probably a traumatizing experience itself. And you got these rich fucks, the Loughlins, and with their Italian designer, super wealthy husbands, bribing schools to get in. They actually did the crime. They're sentenced to 2 months at tennis camp. Hopefully she works on her softball swing. Maybe she can find a quiet corner and focus on yoga. And I'll bet she'll probably appreciate being away from the internet. Although, who knows? But I imagine they probably will have internet there. Yeah. That's America. There you go. There's your country. There's the greatest country on earth. This fucking makes me sick. I'm fucking getting emotional. It's just it's so wrong what's happening. All right, guys. We're done. It's a comedy show. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you all supporting and clicking on play, and I hope you're taking care of yourself, looking after what you got to look after. Oh, don't, little advice, don't wipe wildfire ash off your car. Rinse it off, okay? Ash, this is true for all dust, really. You should be, don't just like grab your hand, or a dry towel was not a good idea. It'll scratch. It could scratch. It becomes abrasive, maybe. And I also saw a guy say, he was a car wash owner, who said that when it gets wet, ash especially is filled with like phosphate and something else. So it has some chemicals in it that may, probably carbon, I'm sure there's carbon in there, that can become caustic when it gets wet, so it might do some chemical damage to your car. So for those of you with wildfire ash, and this is going to be all of us eventually, just be careful. You don't scratch up your Prius. Okay? Just be careful about that. So rinse it off. My Prius gets dusty as fuck. I think I had it washed like once in the last 2 years. So All right. I'm bummed out. Fucking bummed out. I can't do banana. Let's see. See, the thing is, the things that are actually bananas, it's inappropriate to do the bananas thing. You know what? We're doing bananas. We gotta do bananas. You want to see some bananas? We're gonna go off with this bananas. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm gonna say goodbye when we hear the banana music, and you'll sign off with that. Setting it up here in Premiere for everybody's enjoyment. Keep an eye. Check out the description for my woodworking video. So stupid. And I'll talk to you soon. I've got a guest in the next episode. That's exciting. It'll be fun, and we'll yeah. All right. Why am I still talking? Here we go. So take care of yourself. Wear your mask. Get some pumpkin spice. Pumpkin's good. I don't know why people give a shit about that. Who cares? It's even weird that I'm even saying it. It's so strange that people give a shit. It's a mild flavor. It's not called spice. That would be crazy. Pumpkins. It's a nice taste. You put a little sugar in it, it's fucking delicious. A little whipped cream, powdered pumpkin. It's wonderful. It's not cilantro spice. And I like cilantro. I'm one of the blessed few who has the genetic disposition to like cilantro. Apparently it tastes like possum ass to some people. Not to me. It tastes like squirrel ass to me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing and liking. Thanks for bell smashing. And thanks for existing. I'm really glad you're here. I think it's good that you're alive. It's cool. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. Goodbye, everybody. Here we go. Oh shit, I fucked up.
Yeah.
Look at all those bananas. There's nothing worse than a double dildo in the eye, am I right? Although if you're using it appropriately, you would use two eyes, right? That would be fine. Goodbye!